Joel Embiid might miss the NBA season with a meniscus injury. The door isn't completely closed on a return this season, but from all the information that I'm reading, from all the doctors that I've seen tweets from on Twitter, it seems like his season is pretty much over. And if he does come back, he is going to risk long-term knee problems by rushing the comeback from his injury. I don't think Embiid should come back this year. I think he should think about his long-term health. I know how much pressure is on him to win an NBA championship and performing in the playoffs, but I don't think that basketball is more important than long-term health in this scenario. So I think he should sit out the season, but I feel like we're getting into icy waters with Embiid now because Joel Embiid has very much become a what-if player. What if he was healthy in the playoffs? How would he look like? Because almost every year he's been in the playoffs, he's been hurt. 2018, orbital fracture. 2019, knee tendonitis. 2021, torn meniscus. 2022, orbital fracture and a torn thumb ligament. 2023, knee sprain. And 2024, torn meniscus. In the last 6 years, he's been injured in the playoffs for 5 of them. And he's getting close to the 30. And the Sixers are in weird territory because you have this player that you know is one of the best players in the league. He's an MVP. And if you can have him for a healthy playoff run, maybe things are different. But at the same time, he's only getting older. He hasn't played over 70 games in a season since he's been in the NBA. He's had torn meniscus on his left and right knee. He's a 7-footer. As tough as it is to say, I feel like they should maybe explore the idea of trading him at this point.
It's tough to explore that idea because then you're kind of showing your hand to whoever you're trading him to say, hey, we're trading him because we don't know the long-term health of a Joel Embiid. And it won't be the value that you would want for a Joel Embiid. He is one of the league's best right now, number 1 in points per game. He can extend the floor, 3-level scorer. I mean, one of the, truly, I mean this when I say this, one of the best scorers this game's ever seen. And I understand people like to say, oh, he's a foul merchant, but you get him at that free throw mid-range, it's going in 9 times out of 10. He is near automatic at that part of the court. He's just perfected that part of his game. And so to see him go down is pretty sad. I don't think that I would trade Joel Embiid. I think you just got to go down with the ship. He's the franchise player. You go as far as Joel Embiid will take you. That's been evident in the playoffs, unfortunately, where you mentioned it. 5 of the last 6 times they've gone, he's been injured or hasn't played well, and both together have been the truth. So I look at the idea of hoping that he can just get right at one point in time. I don't disagree with you. If there's the possibility that this could have a negative impact for the future of his career, then you sit out the rest of the season. I don't care how great that he's been playing. You don't risk the future of your franchise and your franchise player. But if you can take the chance of him being near 100%, I think you'll take that, especially with the way that we've seen that this Sixers team can play when Joel Embiid's on the court. And we see the level that he can play at, obviously. I think that with Joel Embiid, this is a team that you can look to have a chance to make the Eastern Conference Final. That's always been their crux, that they couldn't get to that part of the season. But with the way that he's been playing, if he is 100% healthy or near 100% healthy, you take that chance on Joel Embiid getting back out on the court, because you're right, the window is closing, but he's too special of a player to not at least try and take that chance, because Philly knows their time's running out.
They have a big offseason coming up. They have only 3 players under contract. They're going to have $75+ million in cap space. They will have to re-sign Tyrese Maxey, Tobias Harris free agent. So they have a lot of flexibility this upcoming offseason. They have the opportunity to go out and either sign a max level player or acquire a max level player, where typically you see these trades and you have to figure out, creative ways to match money and do all of this. The 76ers, they have the cap space to absorb basically any contract in the NBA at this point. Once they do the Maxey deal, not quite as much, but they'll have no problem being able to get really whoever they want. Money's not going to be an issue for them. And it sucks with Joel Embiid because year in and year out, we have the same questions about him. We have the same questions about the 76ers. And this season was the best year we ever seen from Joel. He was on his way to be a back-to-back MVP. He was looking like the best version of himself, but in the back, I'm sure in all of our minds was he needs to be healthy come playoff time, because we know if the Sixers aren't going to have Joel Embiid, there's no way they could be a contender. So I'm hoping that, like Joel mentioned, I hope that he takes the long route here, right? Getting back in 6 to 8 weeks when you're 7 foot, 300 pounds, when you've had knee injuries, when you've had lower body injuries in the past, it seems like you're asking a lot out of that guy to have some sort of quick fix, come back in a couple months, then make the playoff run, because I have a hard time believing, number one, he's going to be 100%, so we know he's probably not going to perform, so the questions and the comments that surround his name are not going to get better. And the bigger concern is what happens if he re-injures it, right? This becomes a 4-month or 6-month type injury. I feel like I've seen it online. Like if he re-injures that, is he out for a year now? And all of a sudden you might miss him for 2 playoff runs. So I think the Sixers have to be on the side of caution. But you're understanding, you're going into this offseason with Maxey is a bona fide star in this league. He is a no doubt all-star, and he's shown to be, he could be a number 2, I believe, on a championship team. And you have cap flexibility to change what this team looks like. Like you've gone through different eras with Joel Embiid, whether it's Ben Simmons, Jimmy Butler, Harden, Maxey. You've gone through all these different eras. You have another chance to kind of reset this era, and now it's the Maxey era. Who's that third person you could bring in and really try to complete this team? But unfortunately, this season for Philly, it seems like it's going to go to waste.
I think I was talking about it, I want to say last summer or a little bit before that. I thought like next year would be the year he get traded. I thought he'll have, a great season, but this playoffs, unfortunately, he wouldn't get to the ultimate task of getting to the ECF, and I thought he would get traded to the Knicks or something like that. It'll be a big move. He gets away from Philly. This one's tougher because now you're in a situation where you just lost Harden last summer. You brought in Nick Nurse. You get Maxey, who takes a big leap. Now becomes an all-star player. You seem like you have a much better team than you did last year. The depth is there. Tobias Harris has been hooping. Kelly Oubre's been there. He's been a cheap plus. Patrick Beverly, like you got some guys. And then Joel Embiid, he improves in every way in his game. As a playmaker, as a scorer, just getting to his spots, as a shooter, everything. Defensively, he's been great.
Oh yeah.
And then boom, he gets hurt. Meniscus tear. I've seen it before. I'm a Bulls fan. I've seen it through Derrick Rose. It's tough. And for a guy his size, like you mentioned, 7 feet, 300 pounds, already dealing with a plethora of injuries in his career, it's tough. Now you're dealing with a torn meniscus. He's going to get pressured to come back. He's going to want to come back. I believe that, no doubt. I think when you're a team this good, outside of Boston, you have a chance against every single team. And even Boston, you're going to give yourself a slim chance because you have an MVP caliber player. You have an opportunity with Maxey to kind of prove the doubters wrong, make it to the first ECF in a long, long time. I think he's going to get pressured to come back. I think he's going to push to come back. I can see him coming back. I would like him to sit out. But then now you're 30 years old with multiple knee injuries. It's hard for you to play full seasons. You haven't played one in damn near forever, probably never. You haven't even played 70 games in so long. It's going to be tough. You got to pay Maxey. You can bring in another guy, but the free agency this year is going to be pretty mid. And then the only way you can get another guy is through trade, and you don't have a lot of assets to really throw out there in terms of young stars or draft picks. So they're going to be put in a little tough position outside of paying guys. And I think outside of DeMar DeRozan and like Siakam and stuff like that, you can't really get another prime time superstar. So you're going to kind of have to go with one of those guys. So I think this is tough for Philly. I think especially you just see Maxey go for 50 points the other day. He's been hooping. It's going to be really tough for them to kind of figure this out. And I feel bad for this Philly team because this team, I legitimately thought this was a really good team.
This is the weakest the East is going to be in a while. The Bucks with Doc Rivers, they've gotten worse somehow. They're blowing leads left and right. They're 1-3.
The Jazz game was nuts.
40-14.
Jazz game was so nuts.
Insane.
Yeah,
you're a Dame guy.
They look worse.
Says who?
I thought you were, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to play well. I wouldn't call myself a Dame guy.
Oh, okay.
Really don't want anyone to play badly.
Oh, speak for yourself.
Really don't pray on anyone's downfall.
And then with the Celtics, it's a talented roster, but how
they don't have an elite player.
How real is Joe Mazzulla? That's my question.
That's the question.
That's my question.
It's something new every
It's crazy
time.
for a team that Joel says is the absolute favorites, the craziest disappointment if they lose. How many questions this team truly does have?
Yeah, because is Mazzulla not a question mark in the playoffs?
I like my chance with Mazzulla.
You think that you're fine with him? He's a great elite level coach.
I don't think he's proven he's an elite level by any means.
You think that in the series he gets out coached by Eric Spoelstra or Nick Nurse?
Spo probably. Nurse maybe. We'll see.
Spo 100%.
Spo has
Spo's
like
Spo. He's
Spo is-
outcoaching
Spo-
everyone.
Spo every
Outcoach
coach in the league. Like, I'm
anybody.
fine with that.
Is Missoula still not a question mark?
I'm not even getting it. It's not a self.
I mean, you're Mr. Missoula's not top 20.
He's shown me a lot this year.
I'm gonna be
Okay.
honest, man.
He's shown me some good things.
Take the target off his back.
But don't you have a lot of questions about the Celtics? They're just an overwhelming favorite, so I'm confused how both could be true.
They're legit questions. You're overwhelming favorite because you have
The most talented.
3
in the league.
All-Stars.
No, you have the most talent. In the league.
None are elite though.
Okay, but
Zing.
like I said, Tatum's knocking on the door. All NBA player in Jaylen Brown. All-Star in Kristaps Porzingis.
You told me
One
Jaylen
of the
Brown
best-
was the worst All NBA player you've ever seen.
He's still an All-Star though.
What?
I never said that to Dells, by the
Oh,
way.
thank God.
But still, he's still an All-Star.
That
regardless.
sounds like some
My,
shit you would
no,
say.
I
That's why
believed
it was
it.
so funny.
I believed it.
Derek White, who's one of the league's best role players.
Two high-level role players. And
Wish there was
still-
an All NBA team for role players. You know,
we should do that. This
That'd be
year.
tough.
We should do that this year.
You still have the best roster in the league.
Just a lot of questions about them. That's all.
Well,
Hey,
I mean,
Steph
Tatum.
and Katie covered up a lot of Steve Kerr's bullshit. You know, happens.
remember
Yes.
when Tatum and the supporting cast of the Boston Celtics swept Kevin Durant?
That was fun. KD though, tier 1, clear statement.